Welcome to Wealth Strategies TV, where we love people, we love tackling the complexities of wealth, and we love empowering people with the best resources and strategies to help them overcome their financial insecurities and anxieties and live the lives they've always wanted. Today I'm joined by Charlie Janes, a business coach who's been in the business for over 25 years, working with business owners, board of directors, and executives to really help them improve their leadership, improve their earnings, and their career plans. He has worked with some of the most influential technology companies and Fortune 500 companies around the world, and recently moved from Silicon Valley to West Palm Beach to work with executives on this coast. So help me welcome Charlie Janes. Charlie, thanks so much for taking time to chat with me today. I appreciate it.
I really appreciate the invite. It's fun to be here.
Awesome. So Charlie, tell me, what does a business coach really do?
Well, I'm glad you asked because there's all different types of coaches and our approaches vary widely. So let's just start with the definition. A business coach tends to work with a business owner. Usually it's a smaller or mid-sized business, and it's to improve outcomes of the business itself. Now, we may also work with their stakeholders in terms of legacy planning and things like that. It could be boards of directors. I'll add that there's a similar type of coaching called executive coaching. And as executive coaches, we work with corporations. We're sometimes hired by the executive themselves that wants to get to the next level of growth. Yeah. But other times it's the HR department or the board of directors that want to cultivate growth or stretching, an individual for their next responsibility. And I'm certified to do both. I think I should mention, though, that the approach that we take is very different. And people should be cautious about this. I meet business coaches all the time, and a lot of times they're not people who have any certification at all. As a matter of fact, some firms estimate that 85% of business coaches have no certification at all. So the approach that I took is I actually licensed from FocalPoint, founded by Brian Tracy, where I have a complete curriculum of exercises or a plan of exercises that I take business owners through.
Interesting. So you've told me a little about who you work with. You told me about the importance of the certification to work with someone that's knowledgeable in the field. Tell me a little bit about what is it you try to accomplish for these executives and clients you work with?
Well, first off, they're the star of the show. When a business owner hires a coach, it's not because they're desperate. Most of the people we work for are the most talented among all of them. So it's like they're choosing a business coach as a fine tool to take their business to the next level. And the things they want are all over the board. So I'll give you a couple examples. A construction company that's been around for 30 years here in West Palm Beach hired me recently because their revenues had grown to 30 million, but they had stagnated. A lot of things going on with COVID, but it was more about not being able to hire and retain the right head of construction. And there were some obstacles in terms of the way the culture had evolved and just hiring the right person with the right fit. So I helped the firm with that. Now, the other thing that owner wants is that he wants to grow the revenues back from 30 million to 60 million in the next 10 years, wants to create a legacy for the company by preparing the company to be ready for the children. So I'm working with the children and some outside people they've hired. That's one example. Another example is one of the older accounting firms in South Florida hired me because they were worried that their professionals were burning out. You know how accounting can be, right? Lots of deadlines and things that are imposed on those people. So I'm working with them simply on time management to help the professionals get better. And then as part of that engagement, the firm has hired me to create a 5 to 10 year vision for the firm where the partners will plan for their exit and their legacy. Maybe one more example is I'm working with a payments company in Ohio, 2 young, hair on fire entrepreneurs. And they wanted to double the size of their business in the next year. And they were only at like $1 million. So they were going to hire a bunch of salespeople. So I engaged with them on a more cost-effective sales model, and we doubled their sales over the last course of the year with only hiring 1 additional salesperson rather than 5. So those are some examples and scenarios.
So do you work primarily with early stage companies, late stage companies, or the whole gamut? Is there a specialty that you have?
I'm really glad you asked because my love is actually super early stage. But as a business coach, the problem with that is most of them can't afford to pay you. So that
Right.
becomes like a labor of love.
Yeah.
Now, I should mention to you, I've grown 3 businesses from 0 to 100 million myself, and I
Mm.
spent the last 15 years doing
Okay.
early stage startups where I was the first or second employee, and I grew those businesses
Right.
from 0 to 5. So I've got one client in North Carolina, for instance, that I'm helping convert from a brick and mortar business to an online business,
Hmm.
and their revenues are almost nothing. But we've grown them in their first year past $1 million. But my bread and butter are businesses that are maybe 2 to 10 million that want to double or triple.
Wow, interesting. So tell me, there have been a lot of paradigm shifts, changes in technology, changes in supply chain. How have you helped your clients deal with all those challenges?
Well, typically, it comes down to really basic things that you'll appreciate in your role here as a professor at the university. Uh, uh, the idea of planning is super important, helping them gain alignment between strategy, employees, customers, and business processes,
Hmm.
helping them get systems of accountability. Uh, a really popular trend right now is how to attract and retain younger employees.
Right.
So we use tools like employee net promoter surveys and things like
Mhm.
that. And the way we go about the projects depends on the needs of the business.
Right.
Some companies don't want to do one-on-one coaching, which is the lion's share of what I do. So I
Right.
do group coaching.
Okay.
I do in person and I do virtual. I do a combination of coaching and training and skills classes. So it's really whatever a client needs to get from point A to point B.
Right. So you see a whole gamut of challenges that executives face and really help them to achieve the goals they desire, whether it's with the organization, whether it's in their career or personally, it seems.
Well, I think that's largely true, but I really want to emphasize that the clients are the star. I think a lot of business coaches forget that.
Mm.
And they think because they might have been successful in a past career that they're going to come in and tell a business owner what to do. A really great coach uses a system to communicate with the business owner who wants the change for their own reasons.
Right.
And we simply, through giving them questions and some exercises, we help them think in new ways
Right.
because we have some time to help think for them. But at
Hmm.
the end of the day, they're the ones solving the problems and they're the only ones who can implement and execute to achieve the results that they want.
Right. Absolutely fascinating, Charlie. Thank you so much for taking the time to explain what you do to us today.
It was a real pleasure. Thanks, Rene.